seated. Let's bring the jury in. Let's calm down now. Okay. Okay, please be seated. Let's proceed, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the government will play a tape recording identified as Government Exhibit 1-157. The transcript is behind tab number 157 of Book 3. The transcript was identified as Exhibit 157A, 1-157A. For the record, the conversation is dated February 27, 2001, and the time is 10:40 a.m. Mr. Ardenman, do you have that transcript available to you? Okay, let's listen to this conversation. Okay, Mr. Ardenman, you recognize the voices on that conversation?
Yes.
And who are the voices?
Myself and Anthony.
Now, calling your attention to line 4 of page 1, you make the reference to the 19-incher at the young guys. Do you recognize the reference to the young guys?
No.
How about 19-incher? Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Large screen TV. The large screen monitor for video poker or cherry.
You said you were going to get rid of that 19-incher. What does that mean, getting rid of it?
I would think the place was closing, or they didn't want the big screen TV, so we're taking it out. We're taking the big one out.
Taking a machine out.
Right.
Okay. Now, line 8 and 9, you say to Staino they should have it done in about 15, 20 minutes, and then Staino says, I would say, wait, I'll go do it with you. First of all, do you know what Staino meant when he said, I'll go do it with you? What was it a reference to?
It looks like he would be doing the collecting before I take it out, or while I'm taking it out.
Collecting the money out of the machine?
Yeah.
And then you say, that's why I'm giving you the numbers. What did you mean when you say I'm giving you the numbers?
The numbers, the count off the machine.
Okay. When you service these machines, would you also take counts of the meter numbers?
Not if I didn't have to, no.
Were there occasions when you did have to?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you did that, did you make a record of that in any way?
There was like on the sheets, on the little yellow cards.
Those little envelopes we had a
Yeah.
few minutes ago? You would just write the numbers down and leave it
Yeah.
inside the machine or at the bar?
Yep.
Then, continuing that conversation, line 14 at page 1, Staino says, you already did it, and you said, yeah. And then if you jump forward to page 2, lines 4 and 5, I gave the guy behind the bar the bag of money. What were you referring to when you told Staino you gave the guy a bag of money?
The money was in the bottom of the machine.
One of the video poker or video slot machines?
Yes.
Why would you give the guy behind the bar a bag of money?
It's not my money.
Well, it's the money from the machine, right?
Yeah.
So who does the money belong to?
Part would go to Anthony, and the rest would go to the young guys.
Now let's move forward and play the next recording, which is identified as Governing Exhibit 1-159. I'm sorry, 158. The transcript is behind tab 158. The transcript is identified as 1-15A. The conversation is also dated February 27th, 2001. This one is at 10:53 a.m. Do you have that in front of you, Mr. Arvidman?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play that conversation.
Hello. Hey, really, I'm not glory. I think your phone for the devil. Okay, good one, good. Yeah, what's the figure? Oh, I got another bill that because I got a deal on it. Now the phone just do what I got to do. It's $12.50 and $3.53 times is 9 and 10 is $2,300. Okay, the couple little pieces, they $couple hours, no big deal. But now you have an extra bill unit. The one that's in there is already going to have a bill unit. The one I'm taking out is going to have a bill unit. Well, that's the other ones, right? Separate the one from the other. All right, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever around $12.50. And wait, I'll tell you tomorrow. Just when they give me tomorrow, right? Are you going to be up there tomorrow? No. Are you going to go tomorrow? No. I only go every 2 weeks. All right, where are you going to be tomorrow? I'll be in Ben Salem. I'll meet you down at 11th Street, whatever you're doing. Well, what time are you getting back? I should be back in the city about 1:30. All right, then I'll see you about 3 o'clock then. All right, I'll be somewhere at 1:30. All right, but just whatever, like this, Julie just left it tonight. That's separate than what the other thing is. All right, well, there's actually going to be one is going to act separate. We'll just be back. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? The one you go where you went just now, it's separate. It's a separate thing than the other thing. Oh, you got to give me, let me know what that is and the other thing. So, sure, but, all right? Yeah, listen, do you want me to take that other thing up to Blues? The Blue Stop Stitcher Money? Blues asking for another one. Now you have it in availability. Well, I'm going to go see him at 12. All right, yeah. I'll come in and I'll call you at 12:30. You got it. All right, bye.
Mr. Arvidman, do you recognize the voices in that recording?
Myself and Anthony.
Okay, now calling your attention to page 1, lines 8 through 10. You say, I got another bill acceptor because I got a deal on it. Mousy told me just do what I got to do. Are you able to identify the reference to Mousy in that conversation?
Yes.
And who is the reference to Mousy?
Mousy. Joe Mousemino?
Joseph Massimino.
Yeah.
And you say, he told me just do what I got to do. It's $12.50 and $3.50 times is 9. Do you understand the reference to those numbers, $12.50 and $3.50 3 times is 9 and 10?
The 350 times 3 would be 3 bill acceptors. The 1250 was probably for cabinets or a new game.
So what are you talking about there? What are those references to?
Parts.
And cost?
Yeah.
Do you recall, do you recall having a conversation with Massimino about buying bill acceptors that cost $350?
Yeah.
And what did Massimino tell you?
Do what I got to do.
Which meant what?
Get the better ones and get rid of the old ones.
Better
Bad ones. Better bill acceptors.
And pay the money to buy the better ones.
Right.
Now, calling your attention to page 2, line 6, Staino asks you, at line 5, Staino asks you if you're going tomorrow, and you say, no, I only go there every 2 weeks. Do you recall, and I realize this conversation is a number of years old, sitting here today, do you recall what location you were talking about when you said, I only go there every 2 weeks?
No, I go everywhere. All the stops are only every 2 weeks.
Did you have a regular schedule for your stops?
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about, we're talking about servicing the machines for Staino, correct?
Yeah.
Did they require regular maintenance?
Back then, yeah.
Now, calling your attention to line 8, you say, I'll be in Ben Salem. You already explained what Ben Salem means, correct?
Right.
And then you say, I'll meet you down at 11th Street. What did you mean when you said, I'll meet you down at 11th Street?
Loose Crab Bar.
Now, calling your attention to lines 13 through 25, there's several references in that portion of the conversation about separate things, keeping things separate. Do you recall hearing that?
Yeah.
Sitting here today, are you able to identify what that portion of the conversation was about, if you can?
The way it's phrased, one would be for the bill acceptors, keep that separate from the other parts.
Okay. Keep what separate?
The bill acceptors and the parts. The bill acceptors were a lot of money. The parts were not that much.
So, is it correct? Staino is telling you to keep different accounts? Keep one separate from the other?
Right.
And what would the accounts be for?
One would be for the bill acceptors. The other one would be for the machine and the smaller parts.
So that would be the cost of those parts?
Yeah.
And at this point, you were being reimbursed for the cost of parts that you were supplying to the machines? Is that
Yeah.
correct? At this time, the government will play tape identified as 1-159, behind tab 159. The transcript is identified as transcript 1-159A. For the record, it's dated, the conversation is dated February 27th, 2001 at 1:27 p.m. Do you have that conversation, Mr. Arberman?
Yes.
Okay, let's listen to that. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. This is Matthew from the Taylor. What's up? I got the new visible. Yeah, I know. And I need a key. All right, I'll get you one. So this team's up already. I got some teams in here. What do you mean? The visible team. All right, I'll get you. Do you need a file thing? No, they give me the key for it. All right. I'll be over there in an hour. Okay.
Mr. Arberman, do you recognize those voices?
Yeah.
Who are those voices?
One is Anthony. The other one would be the young guy from Mateo's.
Okay, and on the transcript, it's identified as Matthew Silvano. Do you recognize the name Matthew?
No.
Do you recognize, does this refresh your recollection as to who the young guy is?
Yeah.
Now, let's play the next tape, which is Government Exhibit 1-160. It's behind tab 160. The transcript is identified as 1-160A, and that's the date of the conversation is also February 27th, 2001. The time is 1:47 p.m.
Yeah, well, yeah, what's that about? I got on what he called. He said they never gave him a key. It's your key. They have it in your hand. I'll go to
Recognize those voices, Mr.
Yes.
Otterman? And who are those voices?
Me and Anthony again.
Now, this conversation 1-160 is approximately 10 minutes or 20 minutes after the conversation at 1-159, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and during the 160 conversation, Mr. Stainer says to you, that guy, and what do you call it? He said you never gave him a key. Do you understand what Mr. Stainer was referring to when he said you never gave him a key?
A key to the bottom bill where you pick up the bills. The bottom cash store.
We don't have the video machine in the room for the display, but where is the, when you refer to the bottom part of the machine where the cash is, what are you referring to?
The bottom half of the machine?
Bottom half of the machine?
Yeah.
Is that area locked?
Yeah.
Is there another area of the machine that's locked?
Top half.
The top half?
Yeah.
What's in the top half?
The board.
The board?
The board, the buttons, the monitor.
What is that? What's the board?
The board is the circuit board that runs the game. Computer board.
Computer board? Are these the boards sometimes referred to as the mother boards?
Yeah.
Now, was it the practice of your Ace vending business to give the stop location, the key to the bottom portion of the machine?
Yeah.
And why was that?
So they would take the money out.
When you were servicing these machines for Staino, did Staino have keys to the bottom portion as well?
Yeah.
Now, let's take a look at page 1 of 160, the transcript. Line 8 and 9, you say, that's his lock. Our locks are on there, the ultra locks. Do you understand what were you referring to when you said the ultra locks?
Padlock.
Padlocks?
Yeah.
And why did you refer to them as our locks?
By this time, I don't know. By this time, he was a friend of mine. So it was, by this time, he was a friend of mine. So it was the locks, the ultra locks I kept in the warehouse. I called them our locks.
But who did the ultra locks belong to?
Anthony.
Anthony Staino?
Yeah. I had masters.
Were you, when you serviced these machines for Staino, were you putting ultra locks on some of the machines?
All his machines
All his machines
had ultra locks.
had ultra locks. Okay. Now, there's a reference to keys. If we just take a quick break from there.
Sorry,
These are all different keys that were seized.
you're just going to say the exhibit numbers.
Yeah.
No objection.
There's no objection to these exhibits. I just want to show them to the witness.
What's the number?
For the records, may I do it one at a time next to the witness? It might facilitate it. Exhibit 2A, number 4. I'll hand this to you, Mr. Argument, and just ask if you can identify what this is.
.611 lock.
What's a 611 lock?
That's to open up top of the monitor.
For what kind of machine?
It depends. It could be either or. It depends what kind of cabinet.
Either a Dodge City poker machine or a Cherry Master
Yes.
slot machine?
Yeah.
And what's the other key in that envelope?
The other key is to a lock.
You don't recognize that one?
No.
Just for the record, the one that you have identified will be 2A4-1. Okay, can I look back? Next exhibit is 2B5. Are you able to identify what these items are?
601 lock and a pool table lock.
Okay, what's the pool table lock?
I should open the pool table.
Is there a number on that one? Okay.
415A.
The 415A is the pool table,
Yeah.
and the 601, what is that key for?
601 should open the not the padlock, the regular lock on the bottom door.
Of what kind of machine?
Of what kind of cabinet would be?
Either God City or a Cherry.
God City. You're right.
Your Honor, could you specify for the record where the keys were recovered from?
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, the item 2A41. Let's check my exhibit list. Under the item marked 2A4-1 was recovered from Terry's Variety Store at 10th and McKean Street on April 9th, 2001.
Okay.
Item 2B5-1, which will be the 601 key, was recovered from Cafe Napoli, 1427 West Passyunk Avenue on April 9th, 2001. And finally, the next exhibit is 2C3. I'll hand that to you, Mr. Ardman. Can you identify what that one is?
That would be to a regular lock for a different cabinet than the 601. Instead of the padlock, the regular lock.
And would that be one of the record is a 637 key? That's the number. Is that for a Dodge City or Cherry Master machine?
Yes.
The record 2C3 was seized from Bays, located at 1012 South 9th Street on April 9th, 2001. Now, at this time, the government will play a tape identified as 1-162. The transcript is behind tab 162, and the transcript is identified as 1-162A. The date of the conversation is March 7th, 2001, and the time of the conversation is 5:23 p.m. Do you have that, Mr. Arberman?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play that one. Mr. Ardman, do you recognize the voices on that recording?
Pasquale and Anthony?
Now, we've heard a couple references in these tapes to a coffee machine. Are you able to understand what that reference is to?
The machine, no. The machines in the back I would take for granted.
What are the machines in the back?
They were Dodge Cities.
Dodge City video poker machines?
I think so back then.
Okay, let's listen to government tape 1-163. It's behind tab 163. The transcript is identified as 163A, 1-163A. The date of this conversation is March 12th, 2001, and the time of this conversation is 2:24 p.m. Mr. Ardman, do you recognize the voices on that conversation?
Yes.
Who are the voices?
Pasquale and Anthony.
Now, let me ask you this question. You've serviced bill acceptors, correct?
Yes.
What, on video poker machines and video Cherry Master slot machines, correct?
Yeah.
What happens when a bill acceptor doesn't work properly?
Kicks it out.
Kicks what out?
The bill.
He kicks it right back out?
Yeah.
Let's play the next conversation, which is conversation 1-164. Transcript is behind tab 164. Transcript is identified as Government Exhibit 1-164A. Conversation is dated March 13th, 2001 at 9:11 a.m. Do you have that transcript available to you, Mr. Arvind?
Yes.
Okay, let's listen to this conversation.
Hello. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. What's up? Over on Main Street. Right. The new thing. Right. There's a thing jamming. I try to get out, but I can't. Oh, take it back 2 seconds. Yeah. All right. Now you know it's over there, right? Yeah. Okay. What else is up? Not much. What about the kid? None. The greaser call you yesterday? Yeah. He's all done. Oh, okay. Good. You know, I kid's in some trouble. Huh? That kid's in trouble.
Please stop.
Why? No, he's got me.
Okay, Mr. Arvind, you recognize the voices on the Government Exhibit 1-164.
Yeah.
Who are those voices?
Anthony and me.
Now, on line 10 of page 1, Staino says, there's a thing jammed in it. I tried to get it out, but I can't. Do you recall what Staino was referring to when he said that there's a thing jammed in it, I can't get it out?
There's a bill jammed in it.
Jammed in what?
In a bill acceptor
For what? For what?
for the video poker.
Now, calling your attention to page 2, lines 5 and 6. Staino says to you, the greaser called you yesterday, and you say, yeah, he's all done. Are you able to recognize the reference to the greaser?
The greaser, I guess, would be Pasquale from before.
One from before.
From, I don't know, one of
Tape.
the... Go ahead.
Let me ask you the questions. Okay. The tape recording dated or identified as 1-163, that was dated March 12th, 2001, correct? That's behind tab 163.
Yeah.
And that was a conversation between Staino and Pasquale.
Yep.
And so this conversation, 164, it's dated March 13th, 9:11 a.m., so it's the next day, correct?
Yes.
So
We can stipulate that is the reason.
Okay, so stipulate.
stipulate. Okay, let's play the next conversation, which is identified as Governing Exhibit 1-165. The transcript is behind tab 165. The transcript is identified as Governing Exhibit 1-165A. It's a conversation dated March 20th, 2001 at 8:27 a.m. Do you have that, Mr. Arperman?
Yes.
Okay, we'll listen to that one.
Hello? Yeah, it's Diane. Yeah, Anthony, it's me. What's up? Anthony, you're in the neighborhood. Could you stop over here? I don't know. Last night, I counted the money. Listen to this. Stop over. Yeah, just bring that out. Something for me. Thank you.
Mr. Arperman, do you recognize the voices on that recording?
Bay and Anthony?
And was Bay one of the owners of a location where there were video poker and video slot machines?
Yeah.
And they were being used, to your knowledge, they were being used for gambling purposes?
Yeah.
This time the government will play recording identified as 1-166. The transcript is behind tab 166. The transcript is identified as Government Exhibit 1-166A. Conversation is dated March 26th, 2001, and the time of the conversation is 1:28 p.m. Do you have that in front of you, Mr. Arperman?
Yes.
Okay, let's listen to this conversation.
Hello. Hey, what's up, pal? Listen, all that stuff's taken care of. Just wanted this up. Yeah, but did he tell you he won something? Why did he tell me about that? Like last day? No, he wants, he wants the same things again. I said, you gotta talk to him. Yeah, well, that's what he would have. I guess, but I mean, you want to take that shot? It's not even 2 weeks yet.
Hardman, do you recognize the voices in that conversation?
Myself and Anthony again?
Now, earlier you testified about your own ace vending practices about what happened when one of your machines was seized by law enforcement. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
And is it correct that your practice was when a video poker machine or slot machine was seized by law enforcement, you would wait a few weeks before you put the machine back in the location, correct?
Yeah, I'd wait more than that. Yeah.
Now, let's take a look at this conversation 1-166. At line 8, you say he wants the same thing again, and then Staino says, yeah, I thought you ordered them, and then you say, I did, but I mean, you're going to take that shot. It's not even 2 weeks yet. What do you recall what you meant when you said to Staino, it's not even 2 weeks yet?
I would think they got picked up, and it's not 2 weeks since they got picked up.
Well, let me call your attention to the conversation that we played a little while ago behind tab 162. Okay, just take a quick look at that. And for your reference, take a look at line 8. Is it correct that during that conversation, Pasquale said they took my coffee machine away? Do you
Yes.
recall hearing that?
Yeah.
What's the date of that conversation?
3/7.
March 7th?
Oh, yeah.
Now let's move back to conversation 166. What's the date of that conversation?
3/26.
So it's approximately a lapse of 2 weeks, correct?
Yes.
And when calling your attention to line 11 of page 1, when you said to Staino, do you want to take that shot? What did you mean when you said take that shot?
Because if they get picked up, usually the state police come back in the next week, the following week, and if they're there, they'll pick them up again.
Okay, what do you mean when you say if they're there? What are you referring to?
The video pokers.
And then at the bottom of page 1, at line 14, Staino says, throw one in blue, how many we get? And then you said, I got 2 left. What were you referring to when you said, I got 2 left?
Either the video pokers or the cherry machines.
And then on line 2 of page 2, Staino instructs you, put one in blues. What is the reference to blues?
Blues would be a location you had.
Where there were video poker machines and video slot machines?
Yes.
Then in line 4, Staino says to you, wait, let me talk to the other guy first. Who did you understand Staino to be referring to when he said the other guy?
Pasquale.
Pasquale?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you say, line 7, I tried to tell him, wait a few weeks. And then in line 8, you say, it's going to end up costing you the money, that greed. What did you mean when you said it's going to end up costing you money?
If it gets picked up again, then you got to buy another one.
Another what?
Another game.
Okay, let's move forward. Next conversation is Government Exhibit 1. Actually, we're going to skip 167 and go to 168. Government Exhibit 1-168, behind tab 168. Transcript is identified as Government Exhibit 1-168A. Transcript, the date of the conversation is April 2nd, 2001 at 1:27 p.m. You recognize the voices on that recording?
Pasquale and Anthony.
Now, let's play the recording behind, let's play the next recording, which is Government Exhibit 1-169. The transcript is behind tab 169. The transcript is identified as Government Exhibit 1-169. And the date of this conversation is also April 2nd, 2001, but the date is 1:29 p.m. Do you have that in front of you, Mr. Arberman?
Yes.
Okay, let's play that one.
Wow. What's up, brother? What do you do, pal? I'm in the middle of doing everything for you so far. Yeah? Okay, good. You gonna see the grader? Yeah, he's next on the list, the grader. Okay, drugs is already done. Okay, then you got something wrong or something. All right. I got a fucking guy. Every time I go there, there's nothing wrong. I know. Well, I don't know. So I'll tell me to be there in a half hour. Well, I'm taking him I'm taking him. I know. Yeah, I know. All right, then you should be here, what, about an hour? Yeah, it's a very good. Okay, do that. All right, listen, the other place, are they open today? I don't know. All right, I'll find out. All right, yeah. All right.
Mr. Arberman, do you recognize the people, the voices on that conversation?
Myself and Anthony.
Okay. Now, going back to the conversation at 1:68, which you identified as a conversation between Anthony and Pasquale, that conversation was dated April 2nd, 2001, 1:27 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And the conversation behind tab 169 is dated April 2nd, 2001, 1:29 p.m., correct?
Yes.
That's approximately 2 minutes later, correct?
Yes.
And calling your attention to page 1, line 5, Staino makes a reference to going to see the greaser. Again, are you able to identify the reference to the greaser?
Pasquale.
Now, do you recall you serviced the machines at Pasquale's for Mr. Staino, correct?
Yeah.
Did they have a particular repair history,
Yeah.
an unusual repair history?
Very.
What was unusual about it?
It's always broken. It was always broken. There was nothing wrong. Exactly.
Let's take a look at Government Exhibit 1-170. That's behind tab 170. The transcript is identified as Government Exhibit 1-170A. The date of the conversation is April 3rd, 2001. The time of the conversation is 9:46 a.m.
Hello, Anthony? What's up, that's Frank. I know this, yeah, what's up? That, machine. Keep going. I don't know if I have this number. I'll call. All right, give me a call. All right, thank you.
Mr. Rodman, you recognize the voices on that conversation?
Bay and Anthony.
Let's move forward and play the next recording, which is identified as 1-171. Behind tab 171, the exhibit is identified as Government Exhibit 1-171A. The date of the conversation is also April 3rd, 2001. The time of this conversation is 10:02 a.m. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, let's listen to that conversation.
Hold on for 1 second. So, I just went up and said, everything takes when I get some money. That's stuff with that. I get it, So, well, I'm gonna give money wherever I get, but I don't have money on the time. So, yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Arman, you recognize the voices on Government Exhibit 1-171.
Myself and Anthony.
Now, that conversation is dated April 3rd, 2001 at 10:02 a.m., correct?
Yes.
The conversation we listened to at 1-170 is dated at April 3rd, 9:46 a.m., approximately 15 or 17 minutes earlier, correct?
Yes.
And the recording at 1-170 was a conversation you identified between Staino and Bay, correct?
70.
Take a look
Yes.
at one. Okay. And moving forward to 171, just a couple questions. Page 1, line 9, Staino says on 9th Street, that goofball, and then there's a reference to the little coffee shop, and you say hard to park at. Do you recall what you and Staino were talking about when you were referred to the goofball on 9th Street?
I thought that would be Bays,
That would be Bay? Bays.
but I think Bays is on 8th Street.
Okay. Again, Bays was a location where there were video poker machines and video slot machines,
Yes.
and they were being used for gambling purposes?
Yeah.
Now, bottom of page 1, line 19, you say that other place, the new ones, the things all zeroed.
Yeah.
What did you mean when you said the new ones and the things all zeroed?
I must
Did you
have delivered.
recall?
I delivered some games, and they're all, the boards are zeroed out to zero.
What does that mean? The boards are zeroed out.
Starts at 0. The boards start at 0.
What starts at 0?
The count.
Count of what?
The count of the money that goes in.
Okay, let's take a look at 172, Government Exhibit 1-172, which is behind tab 172. The transcript is marked, the tape is 1-172, the transcript is marked 1-172A. Conversation is dated April 5th, 2001 at 11:51 a.m.
Yeah, what's up, bud? Fucking Glazer again. Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with it? I don't know. They said they caught the machine, bro. What the fuck do I know? The what machine? Well, you know, the thing. It's the coffee machine. Right. So I don't know if something's wrong again. If I caught the every fucking retarded. Hey, last time you called me, there was nothing wrong. Well, I'll be bringing that neighborhood in about an hour, so. All right, now. Figure it out. I'll probably see you next week. All right, I took care of Patty and everybody else. How about the other guy? You got any booster? Yeah, you want the full pay? Oh, yeah, I put that in. All right. I want to get 6 days off. All right, I'll see you next week. All right, so let me know what it is, all right? All right, now.
Mr. Arman, you recognize those voices?
Yeah.
Who were those voices?
Me and Anthony.
And page 1, line 3, the reference to the greaser, is that Pasquale again?
Yeah.
Now, at this time, in this conversation, Staino says the coffee machine's broken, and again at line 5, and again at line 8, I'm just saying, he says the coffee machine. Do you understand what Mr. Staino was referring to in this conversation when he referred to the coffee machine?
The poker machine.
The video poker machine?
Yeah.
Line 14, you said I took care of Bay, Vic, and everybody else. Who were you referring to at that portion of the conversation?
Bay and Vic.
There were locations where video poker and video slot machines, or video slot machines were located?
Yes.
Let's move forward to Government Exhibit 1-173. Transcript is behind tab 173. The transcript is marked as Government Exhibit 1-173A. Conversation is also dated April 5th, 2001. The time is 7:02 p.m. Do you have that in front of you? Mr. Arby,
Yes.
yes.
1728, right?
173A.
Yes.
Mr. Arbman, you recognize the voices on that recording.
Pasquale and Anthony.
On line 4 of page 1, there's a reference to Cafe Napoli.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that reference?
Yeah, that's a coffee shop.
Were there video poker machines and video slot machines located at the Cafe Napoli?
Yes.
And were they being used for were they being used for gambling purposes?
Yes.
And were you servicing those machines?
Yeah.
And who did those machines belong to?
Anthony.
Anthony Staino?
Yes.
Let's play Government Exhibit 1-174 behind tab 174. The transcript is identified as Government Exhibit 1-174A. The transcript is also dated April 5th, 2001 at 7:08 p.m. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, let's play that conversation. Let's stop the recording then. Mr. Arbman, do you recognize the voices on the portion of Government Exhibit 174 that we played?
It's me and Anthony.
I'm sorry.
Myself and Anthony?
Okay. Again, there's a reference to the greaser. Is that a reference to Pasquale?
Yes.
You said, I was over there, they said nothing was wrong. What were you referring to when you said nothing was wrong?
They said nothing was broken with the machines.
What kind of machines?
The machines in the back, the poker machines.
Calling your attention to line 12 and 13, you say to Mr. Staino, I'll be at 11th Street at like 9. What did you mean when you said it at 11th Street?
Loose crab bar.
Now, line 10, you said to Staino, I'm out to dinner. It's my sister's birthday. Do you recall where you were at approximately 7:08 p.m. on April 5th, 2001? If you recall.
No.
Do you recall?
No.
Do you recall the date of? Do you recall your sister's birthday?
Not April.
It's not in April. Do you recall going out to dinner on or about April 5th, 2001? If you recall.
No.
Okay.
I was probably out to dinner.
Okay, let's proceed. We're going to skip 175, and we're going to play the next conversation, which is behind tab 176. The recording is identified as Government Exhibit 1-76. The transcript is identified as Government Exhibit 1-76A. For the purposes of the record, this conversation is dated April 9th, 2001, and the time of the conversation is 5:15 p.m. Do you have that transcript in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, let's listen to this conversation. Mr. Arbman, you recognize the voices on that recording?
Yep.
Through the voices?
Pasquale and Anthony.
Okay, let's move forward. Play the next conversation, which is identified as Governing Exhibit 1-77, behind tab 177. The transcript is identified as Governing Exhibit 177A, and the date of this conversation is April 12th, 2001, at 1:19 p.m.
Hello. Yeah, what's up, buddy? Where you at? I'm around town. Alright, where you want to meet me? I don't care. You tell me. Hey, get your park. Everything already? Alright. I got my nephew with me. Hey, I'll take 2 seconds. Alright, bro. After he's out of there, 5 minutes. Alright.
Mr. Arbman, do you recognize the voices on this recording, which is dated April 12th, 2001?
Myself and Anthony.
And correct, this conversation is approximately 3 days after the conversation we listened to at Governing Exhibit 1-176, correct?
Yes.
Line 8, Mr. Staino asked to meet you at the park on 13th and Oregon Street. Do you remember hearing that?
Yeah.
Is there a park located at 13th and
Yes.
Oregon Street in South Philadelphia?
Yes.
Do you recall, did you meet with Mr. Staino at that location?
I don't recall that.
Don't recall?
No.
Okay. Let's move forward and play Exhibit, Governing Exhibit 1-178. The transcript is behind tab 178. Transcript is marked as 1-178A. The conversation is dated April 24th, 2001. The time of the conversation is 8:53 a.m. Do you have that transcript?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Arbman, you recognize the voices on that tape?
Yes.
And you previously identified Bay as one of the locations where video poker and video slot machines were located?
Yes.
Let's play the next recording, which is Government Exhibit 1-179. The transcript is behind tab 179. The transcript is identified as Governing Exhibit 1-179A. The conversation is dated April 29th, 2001, at 1:48 p.m. Mr. Arbman, do you recognize those voices?
Pat and Anthony.
Okay. Do you recall were machines seized out, were video poker machines or video slot machines seized by law enforcement from the Greasers location?
Yes.
And did you do anything after those machines were seized?
I can't remember that.
Okay. Do you recall, were machines ever put back into the Greasers location?
Yes.
What kind of machines were put back into the Greasers location?
One Dodge City.
Dodge City poker machine?
I think so.
Now, the conversation we played at 1-176, in which there was a reference to coffee machines being taken, that conversation was dated, take a quick look behind tab 176.
Right.
Correct? That conversation is dated April 9th, 2001.
Right.
the conversation we just listened to at Government Exhibit 1-179, that conversation is dated April 29, 2001, correct?
Correct.
Approximately 3 weeks after the conversation dated April 9th, correct?
I think I messed up.
Okay, well, one conversation is dated April 9th.
Yes.
The other conversation is dated April 29th, correct?
Yes.
So the difference between those two conversations is approximately 3 weeks, correct?
Yes.
Now, that completes this portion of the examination. Is now a good time for the lunch break?
It's a little early, so,
What we're doing, you're on the Friday schedule?
yes. Did you have any more questions for this witness?
I do have some more questions, but
Okay, well, let's go. We're waiting for their lunch. When he comes in,
Okay.
then we can break.
Mr. Ardman, I just want to go through some names and locations with you, correct?
Yeah.
Mateus Caccini,